Hello, this is Pearls on Tuesday, and I am at home in my kitchen, and I'm going to present a little episode today called Easy Entertaining 101. Several of my followers have asked me to kind of put these thoughts together in one place, and I have done that and am ready to share it. My husband and I love to entertain in our home. We love to have dinner parties. We love to celebrate holidays and birthdays in our home. And the comment that I get a lot is, why don't you seem rattled or overwhelmed or rushed when you are having a gathering? Well, there are many ways to make sure that the host or hostess can enjoy the gathering as much as the guests. And I'm going to share those with you today. I have a list of common mistakes that many people make that causes them to not want to entertain as often and that can produce a failed attempt. And so here are some of these common mistakes that I have identified. First is not being prepared and leaving too much to do at the last minute. More on this in a little bit, but preparation, planning ahead, is always the place to start. The second common mistake would be too many moving parts. There's too much going on. You've tried to make it too complicated. This could include your decor, your foods, more guests than your space comfortably holds, and you're having to try to navigate where to put everybody and where to serve and where to eat. And also trying to prepare too many things from scratch. The next common mistake, straying away from your go-to menu and what you're comfortable with. And we'll talk a little more about go-to menus and your comfort zone in a minute. And lastly, having to spend too much time in the kitchen during your gathering so that you are not able to enjoy the fellowship of your guests and the gathering itself. Do this. Think back to gatherings that you have really enjoyed over your lifetime. And more often than not, you will remember certain things. Maybe it was Grandma's lasagna. Maybe it was Uncle Joe's fried chicken. Maybe it was your friend's pecan pie. We become known for things that we prepare well. And we can't expect ourselves to prepare everything well. So the trick is to think about, what do I prepare well? What do I enjoy making? I get compliments on it when I make it. Maybe it's your meatloaf. Maybe it's the bread you bake. Maybe it's a particular dessert. But figure out what it is that you can become known for. And that is something you want to put on your go-to menu. So I have some steadfast rules that I try to follow each time I entertain, and I think that you will find them very helpful. Rule number one is to construct your go-to menu and stick with it. As you become more comfortable and confident with this go-to menu, you will begin to make substitutes and change things out a bit, and that's fine. But don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel each time you entertain. Remember back to those wonderful gatherings where you drove up to the home hoping that you were going to get another chance to enjoy whatever it was that that host prepared well. The second rule, vow to only prepare from scratch 3 items. And this would include your welcome drink and your appetizer and your entree and your sides and your dessert course and your nightcap or coffee course. Only make 3 things from scratch. Outsource the rest. And the next steadfast rule is to try to prepare or prep at least 85% of your menu ahead of time. For Christmas, I just received Ina Garten's book, Go-To Dinners and Make Ahead Dinners. Excellent, excellent choices in there for things that can be made ahead and finished at the last minute. That's what you need to look for. So, when I am going to plan a dinner party, what are the basic steps? Number 1, I pull out that go-to menu that I have, and I will share my go-to menu with you. But I pull that out, I make my grocery list and go grocery shopping and or order or prepare to pick up the things that I'm going to outsource. I have a chart that I'm going to attempt to show you that I use. It is a very simple chart, and it is my dinner planning chart. And I have just listed my welcome drink, my appetizer, my entree, my sides, my dessert, my nightcap coffee, and then I write what that's going to be, whether I'm going to make it or buy it, when I'm going to start prepping it, and when it should be completed. And this helps me a great deal. The next step, decide how you're going to use the spaces in your home. Perhaps I want to have my welcome drink and appetizers in my kitchen. Maybe I want to serve the entree and the sides in my dining room and then move into the family room for dessert and coffee or nightcaps. Decide how you're going to use the spaces in your house and prepare for that. Next, gather your serving pieces and your utensils. Figure out, what am I going to put the green beans in? How am I going to serve the bread? Is it going to be in a basket? Is it going to be on a plate? I like to pull out my serving pieces and utensils, write on a little slip of scrap paper what's going to go in that, and have it there so that when it's time to dole everything out, I know exactly what I'm going to put where, and it helps me prepare. The next step, go ahead and set your table. This can be done days ahead of time. Days ahead of time. I also have a little chart that I use for that. Let's see if it's going to show up here. It's just a little checklist. I have the tablecloth, table runner, the dishes I might need, the flatware I might need, any decor items like candles or centerpieces or whatever. And I often use that to help as a checklist to help myself get ready. but go ahead and set your table, get your decor going ahead of time, and enjoy the beauty of it for a few days. That is certainly something that you don't need to be worrying with the day of or even the day before a gathering. And then the next step would be to go ahead and start prepping those make-ahead items and store them properly in the fridge or freezer or wherever they need to be. And lastly, the day of, go ahead and prepare the rest and allow yourself as the host or hostess time to bathe or shower and get dressed in a leisurely fashion so that when your guests arrive, you are relaxed and ready for a good time. Now, I told you that I would share with you my go-to menu. And again, as you become more comfortable with your go-to menu, you will begin to change it up some, and I do. But if I had to say, what is my go-to menu? My welcome drink would be some sort of Cosmo, either gin or vodka. It's usually something seasonal, like a pomegranate or a cranberry or a lemon or a watermelon or a pumpkin spice. I make it ahead of time in a pitcher, and I have it set out wherever I decide to serve it, with proper glasses, with ice, with any garnishes needed, and my guests go directly there. They make their own drink, which really just involves pouring it, and can refill their own glasses. People are happy and certainly able to do that. And that gives you time to be doing other things or just socializing. Now, I always have red and white wine ready. I always have some cold beer in the fridge, and I always have non-alcoholic beverages. Now, I don't always have all of that out at this point, but if anyone does not care to have a Cosmo or they do not drink alcoholic beverages, I'm always able to quickly get them something that they will enjoy. My appetizer is almost always some kind of charcuterie board. They are so popular right now. And on my blog, pearlsontuesday.com, I devoted an entire post to charcuterie boards. So if you're interested, please check that out. But my appetizer is always cheeses, crackers, sliced baguette, some really savory meats, maybe some pickles and olives and petit corns, and sometimes a tapenade or a seasonal spread, all laid out ahead of time with little tapas plates and the utensils and some cocktail napkins. And guests are able to graze and serve themselves, and it's all done before people even arrive. Now, 98% of the time, my entree of choice is to do a pasta. Sometimes it is a baked pasta. Sometimes it is one that I prepare the pasta noodles themselves and then dress it with some kind of shrimp or sauce or whatever. But I do Italian pasta pretty well, so that is almost always my go-to. It could be red or white sauce, it could be ziti, it could be manicotti, it could be lasagna, it could be orzo or a risotto dish. But that is my go-to favorite. And another reason for that is because many people have dietary restrictions. I particularly have several vegetarians in my family. And so a pasta dish is a great way to accommodate those people that don't necessarily want meat. Lots of veggies can be included, or just olive oil and garlic and a little bit of basil and parsley, and you're good to go. For sides with my pasta dish, I almost always have a nice big fresh salad. Again, that can be prepped ahead of time and kept in the fridge. And then I almost always outsource a good crusty bread or some focaccia or a baguette. I can't remember the last time I baked my own bread for a gathering, but the bread is always good. If you need to slice it and drizzle a little olive oil on it and heat it up at the last minute, great. Sometimes I'll prepare a little dipping sauce with balsamic vinegar and olive oil and some spices, and have that at the table that people can dip their bread in if they choose to. But those are usually my two go-to sides. Dessert, I almost always go towards something chocolate. Very often I will buy some nice brownies and then serve with a scoop of gelato or some kind of ice cream, and provide some toppings like raspberry syrup, fudge syrup, caramel, nuts, whatever. Another thing that I love to do is to purchase or buy, because you can make them ahead of time, some pretty large chocolate chip cookies, and then fill it with an interesting gelato or an interesting flavor of ice cream, maybe something seasonal or a mint chocolate chip or something like that. Wrap them in saran wrap and put them in the freezer. You can do this days ahead, and people love that idea. Now, nightcaps and coffee. I always brew a fresh pot of coffee, and then I provide some enhancements like Bailey's Irish Cream or rum chata or amaretto or Godiva chocolate syrup or plain old Jameson. So if people want a nightcap, they can construct theirs. They know exactly how much of whatever they want in there. And if they just want a plain cup of coffee, they are welcome to that as well. So I hope that these ideas and suggestions will encourage you to open your home to your family and friends more in the coming year, to enjoy these gatherings yourself, and to take some of the stress and the worry out of entertaining. Because we all know that the best memories are made around the table, breaking bread with those we love and care for, and having someone into your home and feeding them and offering them a good time is a love language in itself. Take good care of you and yours. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Pearls on Tuesday. Take care.